Hey, welcome back to the Urban Monk. Dr. Pedram here. We are talking about something really important. Starting April 4th, we're going into National Youth Violence Prevention Week. This is important stuff. Bullying is all over the news, and you know what? Frankly, enough. We're going to get out ahead of this. We're going to talk to a group called SAVE, which is Students Against Violence Everywhere, in a roundtable discussion about how we can deal with bullies, how we can deal with victims and witnesses, and how, if you're in any one of those positions, what you can do to basically end this injustice and make our world a better, safer place for our kids. Enough of this crap. Just a quick prelude. Next week, we have a gentleman, Donovan Green, who's Dr. Oz's personal trainer, has become a good buddy of mine, who grew up in a really rough neighborhood, and he talks about how he had to deal with bullies and how he ended up being this incredible, really nice and charged guy, and how that helped him grow into the man he is. So we're going to stay on this subject for a couple weeks, but we are very charged about this subject. Let's get out ahead of it. Let's hear what SAVE has to say about bullying. Hey, welcome back to the Urban Monk. Dr. Pedram Shojai here, having a special round table today with some amazing people that are doing amazing things. Just so you know, we're going into National Youth Violence Prevention Week. And this has become a big deal. Bullying has become a big deal. It's become a huge issue culturally, and it seems that, unless we do something about it, it's heading in the wrong direction. Here's a national survey from the CDC saying 8.1% of high schoolers reported being in a physical fight in the last 12 months. 6.9% reported being threatened or injured with a weapon, and 19.6% reported being bullied at school. And interestingly, another 14.8% bullied electronically. So it's a problem, and today we are here with our live guests from an organization called SAVE, Students Against Violence Everywhere. And I want to welcome you all here and thank you first and foremost for the work that you're doing. This is really, really important work. And I'm going to start with Jim, just jumping in and saying, hey, what is SAVE, what's your mission, and what's your role in it?
So SAVE is basically a great organization. It was started by some students after a real tragic incident and the death of a classmate in a violent incident. And the students stepped forward and said they didn't want his death to be in vain. And this was in 1989. And since then, students continue to carry the lead. The adults are there, we're around to help support them, to facilitate them meeting their goals. But we know that students are going to listen to their peers much more than they're going to listen to the adults. And so we're out there making a difference in schools and communities, trying to make them safer in every way we possibly can.
Fantastic. So let's just dig into this real quickly to make sure we are on the same definition. Can we define what bullying is? I mean, we all kind of know what it is, but just so what we know what we're drawing a circle around and what this whole subject matter is trying to go after.
So bullying is, one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, and it is a real serious problem. But bullying has to have a couple elements to it in terms of an imbalance of power and a repeated nature to it, that there's people going and doing or saying hurtful things either by excluding people or directly attacking them either physically or emotionally, and it can be done online, it can be done in person, but it has to have that repeated element and that imbalance of power really to say that it really has the potential to do either physical or emotional harm to the individual being targeted.
Got it. Yeah, and so this is something we hear about in the news all the time, and then the perspective, I mean, a lot of people, look, everyone's had some relationship with bullying, whether you were a perpetrator, whether you were a recipient, whether you were a witness, and we're going to get into that because I think, for us to be able to get out in front of this, we really need to, understand what it is and how to identify it, and B, how, depending on where you've been on that spectrum, how to kind of step in and be part of the solution. So I just want to kind of meet the panel real quickly. Let's go over to Kit real quickly. And Kit, please introduce yourself and your role in the organization and tell us, how you're involved in this.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having SAVE on the show. We really appreciate you, and this work is very important. I've been connected with SAVE since I was 14 years old. So now I am 33 years old, so that was quite some time ago, almost 20 years. Started as a student in high school as a ninth grader, and it became a really positive outlet for me. So over the years, I've continued to volunteer with SAVE. I'm now on the board of directors. I often go and facilitate trainings on anti-bullying and conflict resolution with SAVE. So it's been a gift and a blessing. SAVE, I always say SAVE literally saved my life as a young person in the midst of violence and bullying. And so really grateful for the organization, and it's great to be here. And Mr. Wise actually was my high school counselor. And so he's been a gift to me for a long time as well. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, of course, and I love the full circle element of all that. That's wonderful. I'm going to go over to Gerard, then we'll go over to Maggie. So Gerard, how are you involved in this, and how did you come to throw your hat in, saying this is where I really want to make a difference?
Okay. Well, same as kind of like Kit. Definitely was in it within high school. Actually started my freshman year of high school. Been with SAVE. That was in 2005. Man, that's been a long time. But yeah, so since then, I actually got the opportunity to be the student of the year when I was in SAVE. I was actually in a high school where I saw a lot of bullying. And so when I transferred schools, it was great to see an actual place where nonviolence or being against something or being, I guess, a family with a cause was actually the cool thing to do. So I actually joined SAVE, worked with them a lot, actually got to serve as the chair for the Youth Advisory Board, and then now I'm currently on the Board of Directors. So I've been with SAVE for a long time. Definitely helped me just to see the cool side of being against a cause, having a family that accepts you just to be different and to just stop a big cause that we have that's going on right now in America, just the bullying, and just having actually a monumental moment in that or having a part of that. So definitely love the organization and glad that I can still be a part of it.
Excellent. Yeah, and you're holding it down for the next generation. So, Maggie, how are you involved? Because all of a sudden, these guys are kind of generationally involved and have been there, and you look a little younger. And so, tell us how you're involved in this and what this means to you.
Yeah, so I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior at Chapel Hill High School, and just like Kit, Mr. Wise is now my advisor for SAVE. So I have two roles. First role is I'm president of my school's chapter, so I just help run our daily meetings and all of our service projects. Then my second role is I'm actually on the National Youth Advisory Board right now, just like Kit. And so right now I'm just working, I'm a voice for my peers, and I just love being a part of this wonderful organization.
Love it. 17 years old, and you're taking initiative, and you're stepping in front of really an injustice that we're all witnessing and culturally witnessing, and enough's enough. I mean, this is something that we keep hearing about, so what are we going to do about it? So let's kind of wrap our brains around this, and I'm going to kind of leave this now open to whoever kind of feels like they're the one to answer this, but where does this bullying come from? Can we identify, how this youth violence is coming? Have you guys? I mean, I'm assuming you've been looking at this for some time. So where have you identified kind of sources of this so that we can find the place to heal?
Comes from a lack of understanding. Anytime someone doesn't understand someone else, it gives them the opportunity to judge them or to think differently because of things we don't care to know about someone else. So I always feel like that it starts from there, and it just sometimes it comes from either when you're misunderstood, you feel like you can bully someone else because you have these insecurities within yourself. So for me, it comes into the thing of saying that a lot of the times it's the lack of knowledge, getting to know someone, getting to talk and to find out actually who that person is. And rather than do that, you're just more of you don't want to understand them, and it goes into the thing of picking or being an aggressor or things of that nature, what I've come to find out in my experience.
Yeah, and I think to add to what Gerard is saying, I think that oftentimes, I know in social justice we say that the oppressed oftentimes become the oppressor. People who are hurting oftentimes hurt other people. So I do think that oftentimes, in addition to what Gerard is saying, people who may be insecure, who may be abused themselves at home, people who may have something connected to mental illness, oftentimes people who are suffering take that energy and for whatever reason, oppressing or bullying other people helps to make them feel better about themselves, which is very unhealthy and not the way to do it, as it relates to being a solution to even being healthy for ourselves. So I think that's I think that's the issue as well, and I think that challenges us as service providers and leaders to also provide outlets for people who are working to heal from different things to be able to talk about it themselves as well. But I definitely think that contributes to bullying.
Are we seeing kind of commonalities? It's like, hey, if your parents were kind of rough and there was kind of physical abuse, domestic violence, that ends up kind of making someone more likely to bully, or having siblings that do it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are kind of tied into this. Do we see more of that with parental involvement or sibling involvement at home?
I mean, we certainly can see a lot of connections between strife in the home and substance abuse and other kinds of maladaptive behaviors in terms of coping behaviors. And sometimes it's which comes first, sometimes it's a response to the bullying, sometimes it's the person who is not, like as Kit said, the person who isn't feeling good about themselves is going and they're taking it out. And many times the people we look at, they're the bullied victims. So they have been bullied themselves and they're also bullying others or go on to bully others. And so, yeah, there is that vicious cycle aspect to it.
Yep, and it's not just physical, obviously. So, you know, I would say probably that's the physical would maybe even be the tip of the iceberg, and the psychological impacts are where we're, you know, seeing a lot of the fallout with the victims in this. So I'd love for someone to speak to that, because that I mean, that kind of stays with you for life. I mean, if you've been bullied, that's not something that you just kind of brush off easily, and I think that's a big part of what we're trying to also get out ahead of here, right?
Absolutely. I can say, as far as like working in the counseling field and things of that nature, a lot of the students or a lot of things I've come in contact with who have been bullied, it leaves those permanent scars, and it's those things about, you always think about, well, maybe this is the next time, or it's a start to be a pattern that you always are in. So it's like you look for people to bully you because you've been bullied, and it's this thing that you allow certain behaviors to happen. And I think that's why the great thing, that's why I'm really involved with SAVE, is because it gives you that outlet or those resources to figure out what are those signs that you may see pre, or what are those signs you may see that people are giving you, and what are the red flags, for lack of better terms, that are being seen that you know how to identify, and that you can get yourself out of that situation. And how can SAVE empower you to even be better to get out of those situations, because it is a mindset after a while. If it's been so long placed in you, it's kind of like this is all you know, so you look for it. And SAVE gives you those opportunities to empower yourself, to encourage, and how to get out of those situations so you can help the next person that may also be in it. So I think it is a psychological thing.
Great.
And I think what you were saying about it not just being physical is also important to recognize. And I think even for young people and adults to understand that, you know, abuse and bullying is not just physical, as you were saying, but it's psychological, it's emotional, and that can do a lot of damage in so many different ways. But I was just thinking, Maggie, have you encountered, or any of your classmates that you know of had any kind of issues with this kind of thing at your school?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what all of you guys are saying. So usually students with a bad background at home, and they're being put down psychologically, mentally, they're feeling like the little man. They're going to come to school and they're going to do whatever they possibly can to be in the position of power, to then make other students get put down, to make themselves feel better for what's going on at home or what other students are putting onto them. So it is really a ripple effect. What we're all talking about is the students who are being bullied then become the bulliers, because they don't want to be in that position. They don't want to feel insecure anymore. So then they feel others. So then they make others feel worse for.
What have you seen, Maggie? You're out there. You're actually on the front line. You're still deployed in school there. What have you seen? What kind of impact have you seen with people? I mean, maybe it was yourself. I don't know. But what drove you to say step up and kind of become part of this righteous cause in your experience of bullying? And maybe just a story of what you've seen that really impacted a friend or someone in your world.
Yeah, so actually the real reason I joined SAVE was because I actually had a violent father, and so I joined SAVE to speak out for the people who aren't like, they don't want to speak out. They're too insecure and they don't feel like they have enough power to be able to speak out. That's why I joined SAVE. I don't want students to be in a position like I was in and not feel like they can speak out. I want to be a voice for my peers, really, and that's what drove me to join SAVE, and I love being a part of it every single day. I love getting to educate all the students, empower them with life lessons, and teach them the effects of what happens when violence occurs in your communities and in your schools.
God bless you for stepping through that. Jim, you've kind of, it looks like you're kind of generationally deep in this, and these people can all, like a couple of the people here can draw lineage back to you here. What have you seen in terms of impact in what SAVE has done for people in this space, and how you've been able to turn this around for people who would, be kind of being recipients of this type of violence?
One of the nice things that SAVE does is it gives them, like Maggie said, a voice, and it gives you a place to go and to equip your classmates and your peers with knowledge. You can go out into the school, go out into your community, and peer-to-peer education and support and advocacy is a powerful thing. And so really it is kind of a one person at a time, one situation at a time. We know we can't stop it all, but we also know that we can make a difference for individuals one at a time, and for all of them to feel like, hey, my voice matters, I can stand up. And so if it's not me being bullied, I can see bullying happening with my classmates, and I can have some skills to step in and not to be that bystander anymore, but to be someone who's going to intervene and go stand with the victim, or go support them, or go encourage the bully to stop what they're doing, or to report it. There's lots of different ways. So we're handing off different kinds of skills, because we know that different individuals are going to be comfortable taking different kinds of actions. But we want them to see that there are choices, there are things you can do, and to encourage them and empower them to be able to do those things and make that difference.
So if I'm in a school and somebody is bullying me, is there a local SAVE chapter? Is there a hotline? Like, how do I do this without getting ridiculed or further bullied and all that? Like, what kind of safeguards have you guys built in to allow kind of like a safe passage for someone to find a resolution to this and actually, get some, just get some friends quickly kind of rallying around this to stand in front of this? And this is going to go, yeah, Jim, back to you.
So, again, every community is going to be different, because that's one of the other things about SAVE that we believe in is we'll give you lots of ideas and suggestions, but we're never going to tell you, here's how you have to do it. We're going to say, hey, here's some ideas, and then we'll share between chapters and across the country, here's some things that have worked in some communities. You may want to try these things. But certainly I can speak for our chapter, where we have a bullying hotline and we have a bullying website at our school, but a lot of times we publicize in a lot of the information we put out that, hey, if you know a SAVE member, you don't know where to go, don't know where else to go talk to one of the SAVE members, and they're not necessarily going to solve it, but they may come walk with you up to see the counselor, to come check in with me, or to sit with a principal or our resource officer or somebody to, again, get the ball rolling to stop what's going on. So that sense of connection. And so, yeah, there are hotlines in different places. So really it is going to be a community by community difference, but I really think it's important for, again, the communities and the individuals to feel like, yes, there are steps I can take. And so being part of the solution really feels good. And so for a SAVE chapter to go into a school where there hasn't been one and to step up and say, here's how we want to try to address bullying in our school and community. Because those students in wherever it is, in Minnesota or Mississippi, they're going to know their communities, they're going to know their students, they're going to know their peers, so they're going to have the best idea about how do I reach my peers here in this place today.
Yeah, exactly, and it's never going to be the same. But are we talking about, okay, we're going to go to the principal, we're going to go to school police? I mean, obviously it's a case-by-case basis. So I know we got a couple kind of personal stories here. Maybe we'll start with Jared and then go to Kit, just to kind of tease out how some of this plays out. And then, because what I really want is for somebody listening to this who may be, a victim of this, to feel empowered to kind of step up and step through and get resolution to this as we go into this this National Prevention Week, and really give the tools we need to kind of stop this dead in its tracks. So Jared, I'm going to go to you first, and just if you don't mind, just giving us a little bit of a background story so that we can kind of see this in action.
I would say, as far as like to start a chapter or to get involved and things of that nature, for me, I would say like my biggest thing was trying to go to, the SAVE was actually a chapter started at my school, but when I went to college, they actually didn't have one. So it was more of a, what can I do to get this message across? Because some people may not want to join SAVE as an organization or as a club. So what we did was talking to SAVE, working with Ms. Ray, who's the director, we came up with a different solution. It was like, well, how about you do more information sessions about nonviolence and bullying, because I actually had a personal friend who actually was shot and murdered while I was in class, while I was in school, while I was in college. He was killed. And so it was an act of violence, and it was that thing of it made me want to be more active on my college campus. So we had a lot of information about SAVE and what can we do and how could we go to different high schools and elementary schools to teach this message. Maybe not start a chapter on our campus, but empower other youth and other campuses. And actually did a march in his name and started a scholarship at the university. And it was the biggest thing about the scholarship is about nonviolence and those kind of things. So it's like SAVE gives you the opportunity to make an alternative and what fits with your community. So that's how with my community I was able to impact students, because we took this message of SAVE and put it in the high schools and put it in the elementary schools in the local area.
Great. Good on you, man. Good on you. Kit, what's your story and kind of tie into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I think about, I'm just thinking about Maggie, and I look forward to talking more with Maggie because I feel like we have a lot in common. I grew up in an environment that had very loving people in my environment, but domestic violence was a reality. So for me as a young person, SAVE became a positive outlet for me. And so I remember learning things like we had something that Mr. Wise started called PALS, Peer Action Leadership Success, where we had peer mediation. And we actually would sit down with our classmates who may have had a conflict and help them in a safe space work out their conflict. And in the midst of being a peer mediator, I remember actually getting skills myself to learn how to work out my conflicts as it relates to bullying and other things. And so that was a case. I remember also having some really powerful service projects that we did in the community that taught us how to put our energy in doing positive things in the community. And so these different skills that I learned as a young person, and I served as the first chair for the Youth Advisory Board back in the late 1990s. But so when I think about SAVE and the different skills that we learned on how to resolve conflict and different things, when I go into the schools now, oftentimes there's this word about, it's called like snitching. They're like, well, I don't want to be a snitch. I don't want to, this and that. It's not cool to tell a trusted person or this and that. But with SAVE, the student-run, student-initiated, student-directed, and so things like words like snitching and things like that, it teaches people and students how to see that being part of the solution is actually cool, that violence is actually uncool, and being part of the solution is cool, and it's okay to go to these safe spaces and safe people and trusted people in your environment in order for things like bullying not to happen, or if it does, to do things so that the problem can be solved. I know just in my personal life, when I graduated from college, I went and served in different service organizations and went to continue my education. But I did Teach for America, and then I did Peace Corps. And so Peace Corps is an awesome program, but in the midst of my serving out of the country, I became a survivor of an extremely violent crime, an extremely violent armed sexual assault. And in the midst of that sexual assault and healing from that and going through a court case where the guy received 46 years in prison, I realized that so many things that SAVE had taught me actually helped me to move forward in my life and not take my energy and use it in anger against the person who had assaulted me. I was able to take that energy and that voice that SAVE had helped me to nurture to start speaking out more about sexual violence and helping other people heal in their journeys, and also, and advocating and teaching more about conflict resolution and other things. I often say that SAVE literally saved my life, because those skills that SAVE is teaching young people in high school, those things stay with us for the rest of our lives and help us literally as it relates to how to resolve conflict as an adult, how to heal when something really bad happens to us, how to resolve conflict even in our own personal relationships, and be a blessing to the communities that we live in. And so SAVE is a gift and a blessing to young people in high school, but also to those young people that grow up to be adults and productive citizens in the world. So again, SAVE awesome organization. Nationalsave.org. Go there and get some great resources.
Awesome. So what we're doing is we're training our youth to understand that it's not about being a snitch. It's about standing up for what's right and righteous and protecting your fellow brothers and sisters, and giving tools to understand that an injustice isn't something that you can just sit there and witness. So where's the safe harbor? Right. So if I see something happening, in the hallway of my high school, how do I go and report this to an organization like SAVE and keep myself from being a victim of the same bullies and all these types of things? Because this is something that a lot of people fear. Like someone who's in this situation right now, it's like, hey, at least they're bullying them. I'm safe. And that's what creates us the same kind of way atrocities like the Holocaust happened. It's like, well, at least it's not me, right? And so the first question is, how do we bridge that to stay safe, and what kind of safe harbor have we been able to establish with SAVE? And then the second question is, now, what does that mean for electronic bullying and all the stuff that's happening? Like that stuff didn't exist when I was in high school. It either happened in the hallways or you were home. Now it's like it follows you around on your phone. So how can I have a safe harbor? How can I be a witness to this and step out in front of it and feel like I can be a hero instead of the next victim?
I can't speak for every school. I can speak for our school, and I know every school has protocols, programs, and really good people trying to work with that. And hopefully they have students who are involved. The vast majority of students are going to stand up against it, but they feel like they're all alone. And so for them to feel like, oh, wait, there's someone standing with me. So giving them that sense of, so they have to prescribe for their school, where should they go? But I can speak in for here. If they come to me, I'm always going to find as much of a way to protect their identity as possible. We don't want retaliation being an issue. We do want them to feel like they can come and report it, though. We can also then do sometimes, there's trauma associated with it, so we want to be able to support the victims, and we also want to be able to work out and investigate and determine, okay, what is going on, and to be able to, you don't want it to be punishment so much as to be redirection when possible. Sometimes punishment has to be part of the consequence for the bullying behavior. So we send a message that this is not acceptable. The adults are sending the message and standing behind our students and saying, we can't tolerate this here. We're not going to tolerate this. So we need to have our clear guidelines about what is and isn't acceptable, and to be able to deliver those messages, and also then to be supporting students who are reporting and saying, here's some skills, here's some things you can do. If you see bullying, someone being bullied in the cafeteria, go stand next to them and just be there. Sometimes being there is such a powerful thing. We lose the presence of that. We think we have to know the right words to say, and sometimes we can do everything we need to just by physically putting ourselves, not necessarily in harm's way, but just by standing with or sitting with someone who's in pain or who's being targeted. And as far as the second part, the electronic, yeah, you're right. It's a 24/7 world now, and so many young people have a hard time switching off their electronic access. So I really encourage parents and young people to have a time, at night where, to leave the phone out of your room. If someone's texting you at 3 in the morning, I don't think anything's happening at 3 in the morning you absolutely have to have. So, turn off the computer, turn off the phone, and have that quiet time so you can escape. It's good for your brain in a lot of ways, and besides it, it just gives you that downtime.
Yeah. There's also an element to the electronic piece, which is actually, in some ways, better for, this cause, which is like, hey, man, I got a paper trail. Thank you so much. No one saw what happened in that hallway, but here's the thread that I can now, reproduce and show to whatever. And maybe that's why Snapchat is popular too. But there's a lot of interesting kind of changes in how this happens. Like if I have a paper trail of bullying, I also have evidence. So that to me is, we're kind of wild west with a lot of this stuff. And look, the question isn't the medium. The question is the act. So how can we help deploy this? I mean, I listen to this and I'm thinking, if you are the captain of the football team, if you are, anything at your school, and you're not involved in SAVE, then you're really missing what the real issue is here, which is, everyone needs to step up and be righteous. Everyone needs to step up and be part of something that makes us all better. So, you know, this isn't about, oh, these people have been marginalized and they're trying to, like, this is a support group. This is about society standing up against aberrant behavior that is absolutely intolerable, and we're going to stand in front of it, and we're going to take a stand. So first question, how deployed are you? Like, how many states are you in? Like, where is this? I'm so happy about this. I want this to be everywhere.
We're in 49 states, and I can never remember what the missing state is. Everyone always wants to ask. And actually, over time, we've been in all 50 states at points, but sometimes we lose chapters when advisors move away or schools, you know, shift their mission or close down. We have 230,000 members and 2,300 chapters. And one of the really neat things about SAVE is we have elementary school chapters, middle school chapters, and of course for bullying, middle school is kind of ground zero where it really starts to blow up. High school chapters, some college chapters, and chapters in community organizations like Boys and Girls Clubs and other community organizations sponsoring them. So you can theoretically be a member of SAVE from kindergarten through grad school, and I just think that's so neat. So we really are out there all over the country.
Great. I know you have some partnerships. There's some big names coming. I know the Allstate Foundation have come in and also been kind of supporting this. So what's the initiative? I mean, so this is now the time. This is the week. This is the awareness week. You know, if you're watching this, this is the time where, like, everyone is kind of banging on this drum. What do we want people to know? How do we effectively spread this message through this awareness drive, and how do we keep this going and get this fire to spread?
Celebrating success and celebrating the activities that people are doing. So that's one of the great things. Again, we shamelessly share and steal from each other and save. So, you know, we have a big event coming up in a couple weeks. Our national summit, where chapters from all over the country will come in and they'll share what they're doing, and I'll always learn something new. I've been doing this a long time, but I'm always interested to hear what are other people doing. And so if someone has something that's been successful, I want to try it out. I get really excited about that, and a lot of times our students will get excited about that, and they want to come bring it back here to where we are and put it on the ground. So, I mean, having that ability to hear what other people are doing, share that through our National SAVE resources and our peer-to-peer and our student-to-student, because Maggie is part of the Youth Advisory Board, but we have students from 4 different states. We have 10 different students on there. So those young ladies are in touch with each other all the time and sharing ideas and hearing from each other. Maggie reached out before the interview here and was talking to some of them and, you know, hearing from what they had to say. What would you want me to say, you know, today?
Great. And that's really it. Is there's different scenarios, but there's also, you know, solutions that come out individually. And so, you know, okay, Maggie, I'm watching this. I'm in middle school or I'm in high school, and there's all kinds of this crap going on around me, and I hate it, and I don't know what to do about it. How do I go find a SAVE chapter? What do I do? What are the steps I need to take if I'm 17 years old and I'm listening to this saying, you know what, this sucks, and I really want to step out in front of it, and I'm a little scared, but now I feel like there's a safe harbor here. How would I go about being part of this and really standing in front of it?
Yeah, so one of the goals of SAVE is to encourage positive peer influence. And how do we do that? We do that through community service projects. And so a student who maybe doesn't have a SAVE chapter at their school, they can create one. Go to www.nationalsave.org. You can find all about how to create your own SAVE chapter at your school, and go ahead, do that. That's great. But also, if you don't think you have enough time to create your own chapter, you can just do a service project. And so if you promote, like, community service throughout your schools, throughout your community, it not only engages all the students around you, but it allows the students in charge of those service projects to mature themselves, and they gain people skills. And anybody a part of the service project, as you talked about earlier, how do you get the captain of the football team to learn about SAVE? Well, you have a service project, and then it allows all the students and all the community members involved, like, how to understand about people's situations, how to help people, where to go if you need help. And as we also talked about earlier, it's sometimes hard for peers to go and talk to their adults, to trusted adults. You know, maybe your counselor's too hard to talk to, but your best friend, hey, go talk to your best friend, go talk to a SAVE member, and they'll maybe refer you. I've had to walk some students up to Mr. Wise's office just because they were too scared, because they didn't know how awesome of a guy he was. So sometimes some students just have to take the initiative. You have to step up for your peers. You have to become that voice. Try and start some community service project. and start your own SAVE chapter. It'll be wonderful. Your whole entire school and community will benefit from it. So.
You bring up a point that is interesting. What about the adults? So, when I was in high school, there were actually incidents that, happened where people tried to go to the adult, and the adult didn't quite get the magnitude of what was happening, and that what bullying even, was, and how much that, was impacting this individual, and they were like, okay, I'll talk to him, or whatever it is. Is SAVE also working with high school counselors and adults, or is that another organization? Like, how do we bring the adults there to understand that if someone's worked up their courage to come up and say, hey, this thing is happening, that's a big deal, and that you have to take it as a big deal because, for that one person, there's probably another 10 or 20 that never mustered up the courage to do it.
Sure. I would say that I think that SAVE does interact with counselors. My advisor actually was the counselor when I was actually in high school. She was our counselor. She was very adamant about it. And what is the thing is that I think a lot of the students must know about SAVE is that if you really think about just how it was started, these were a group of kids that said no is enough and we're not going to let this happen after a killing of their friend. So even thinking of the basis, a lot of things, how they started is one person who gets the courage to actually want to do it. So if you get that one person just getting a group of people, it's saying, hey, it's strength in numbers. We all want this to happen, but it takes one person to stand out and say, I want to be that person where this is enough is enough. And if you feel like the adults are not supporting you, that's what SAVE is here for. Like, you let us know, call a letter, send an email, let someone know, hey, we're having a little trouble. Is there anything or any advice you could do? As far as with me, when I used to live in Atlanta, and one of Miss Ray reached out to me and was saying, hey, there's a student organization that wants to start. So I went to the high school and talked to them and say, hey, if you need some supplies, if you need help, this is what you need to do. What are your ideas? And that's what SAVE is all about, building up partnerships. So if there's a chapter that's nearby, they can connect you with that nearby chapter to say, hey, we're actually being successful. These are some of the ideas. You can even come to the summit, as Mr. Wise said, and get ideas on how to start a chapter and find that niche of people that want to support just as you are. So that will help you encourage to go back and say, hey, enough is enough. Someone needs to listen to us. These are the things we want. We want this to actually stop in our school. So it's a big support system that SAVE has. It's just that reaching out and getting those resources to get what you need to get.
Yeah, and
I love it. And you guys have partnerships, right? Kit, so go ahead, Kit.
Yeah, I was just thinking, just as far as what's been reiterated, like SAVE being student-initiated, student-directed, student-led. However, there's always a trusted adult that's helping to advise each SAVE chapter. So in our case, Mr. Wise was our school counselor, but there are also school resource officers who are also advisors. Teachers. Gary Wirt was the first advisor of a SAVE chapter, and he was a teacher in the school. I think he was a history teacher. And so, there are trusted adults that are always connected to advising the chapters as well.
Right, and they're safe, and they're trusted, and they are there for you, and there to support you. And it's just it's a scary thing. I mean, it's bad enough being kind of bullied and ridiculed or whatever it is. It's just you to come out of that, you have to feel like you're safe. So SAVE is also safe harbor with people who understand, which is, I think, an important piece to this. So Allstate is now focusing on teen driving and safe driving, and SAVE has an event plan for this entire month in light of that. Can you share with me what you guys have planned this month as part of this kind of initiative?
Further, we know April is Distracted Driving Month, and we know that distracted driving is very dangerous. It's actually more hazardous than probably impaired driving, although certainly that's also dangerous. So we're going to do some awareness events, and again, chapters will be doing things like don't text and drive, pledge drives. We'll be doing seatbelt checks and sharing things about put down the phone when you're in the car. Again, every chapter will do something different. There's a lot of ideas, and we get a lot of excitement around that. And again, I can sit there and lecture all day about the dangers of it, but if your peers are telling you, or if they're getting in the car with you and saying, dude, don't be texting when I'm in the car driving with you. They're pressuring each other positively. We talk about peer pressure, and actually we can use positive peer pressure in regard to, hey, this is what we want to do. Just like with the bullying, to say the norm is, or the expectation is, here's the behavior we expect of each other. Here's what we really want to see happen to be safe.
Love it, love it. And then this month, in regards to the bullying, What's the initiative? What are we really trying to drive home this month in this prevention week? But just wrapping around this whole month to make a splash and make sure that people in this space understand what our initiatives here are.
We want people to feel like they have a voice, that they don't have to put up and tolerate being bullied. They don't have to choose to be a bully, that there are choices. And so, again, it's going to vary, but I want people to feel like I have a choice in every location, in every town, in every school, in every state. I want students to feel like, yes, I have some tools at my disposal. I don't have to be a bystander. I don't have to be a victim. I don't have to be a bully. Here are people I can go to. Here are things I can try. Here are people who are going to support me. We really want that message to be, this is not okay. And again, we know the majority of people don't want to engage in that. They don't approve of it. And even a lot of the bullies, I don't think, are especially comfortable doing it. So we have to help give them another option and another way to handle their anger or their hurt and to connect. Because a lot of times they're trying to connect. They just don't have a more positive way to do it. So we really need to do some healing all around and some supporting all around.
You know what? So to me, there's really three different kind of avatars in this space, right? There's the bully, there's the victim, and then there's the witness. So for each of those, what type of advice would you have? What would you say to each? And maybe I'll just have each of you kind of say one. So Gerard, let's talk about the bully. What would you say to the bully, and what's the message to someone who's been a bully and is in that position?
And for what I would say for as a person in the bully, that is a bully, I've been in that position, is you want to stop. You want to get to learn other people. You want to be that person that find out what is the reason or the things that's making you want to be the aggressor in the situation. Identifying what it is that makes you so angry. Talk to someone about it. Sometimes people just don't have an outlet to discuss with. These are the things that are going on with me. So instead of talking about it, I'm oftentimes being an aggressor to someone else. So I would tell that bully, as far as like, stop and evaluate yourself. Where is this coming from? What is this anger? Has this ever happened to me? And why do I feel like this is okay or what makes me comfortable? Oftentimes I tell people it's not the action, it's more of the comfortability in the action. Why are you so comfortable to be able to bully someone else or feel like this is okay, and really assess that with them and see where's that outlet I can talk to about the issues that I'm having internally that makes me feel comfortable enough to bully someone else.
Great, and identify that behavior isn't normal, and that might be what they grew up with, but that's there's a different way to be. So now, what about the victim? Kit, I'm going to go over to you. If you're a victim of bullying, what's the message here? And I think we've kind of spent the most time on this, but what's kind of the take-home message here to a victim?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would ask them, how are they doing? I would sit down and actively listen to them, see what it is that oftentimes people don't feel like they have a safe space to actually, share what's happening with them. So I would ask them how they're doing. I would see what it is that they need and be an active listener for and with them. And I would let them know that you don't have to suffer in silence. There are people around you who love you, who care for you, and who want the absolute best for you. And oftentimes when people are victimized, there's self-blame, there's guilt, there's grief. There are all of these different things connected to blaming ourselves. And I would let them know that this is not your fault. You do not deserve this. And this is a safe space for you to speak up. And you have trusted people around you who are here to help you. So you don't have to suffer in silence. You're not alone. And we're here to be present with you to help get resources to assist you.
Love it. And then Maggie, I feel like the populations that we're talking about here, we have the bullies and the victims. I think that seems to be the smaller number, because there's probably a lot more witnesses that are standing on the sidelines that know this stuff is happening but have not stepped up. They don't feel like it's their problem. They're just not, and this isn't my thing, so I'm not involved. And to me, I almost see like the witnesses being a huge part of this equation, because when you witness an injustice and you do nothing about it, you're part of the you're also a perpetrator in some ways, right? So what would you say to people? What's the call to action to someone who's witnessing this thinks it's uncool but has yet to do something about it, how can we call witnesses up to stand in front of this?
Yeah, so I loved what you said. The witness is a big part of this situation. The bullier is probably doing this to get attention and to show how much power they have over this person. So if you're witnessing it and you're not doing anything, the situation's just going to get worse. So what I'd say to somebody who's witnessing a bullying incident or really any violent incident, I'd tell them, I know you don't want to be the bullied person. I know you just want to step back and be like, I'm not a part of this. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to become the person who's being bullied. But I'd ask them, how would you feel if you were in that situation? How would you feel if you were the person being bullied? Would you want somebody to speak up? Would you want your best friend to speak up, or even just a classmate to speak up and have that courage to speak up? Go to a trusted friend. Go to a trusted adult. And most likely they're going to say, yes, I don't want to be in that situation. I want somebody to help me. So then I tell them, well, you need to be that person to help this person. You need to help this bullied person. You need to go to a trusted adult, go to a friend, go to a parent, go to a teacher, any counselor that you can. Just tell them this story and keep pushing until the problem's solved. Because really, if you just tell a trusted adult and you just leave it like that, something might not happen. You have to push. You have to make sure that something really happens if you want an impact to be made in your school or community.
I love it. Listen, I love the work that you're doing, and this isn't your work. This is all of our work, right? This is society's work, and together we do this. We stand in front of things that are just uncool, and we make the world a better place, and we make life easier for our brothers and sisters. So how can we find out more? Please give us the website. Tell us how to reach out. We're going to post it here as well, but also just tell us here in the Hangout how people can find your organization.
You've heard it a couple times already, but we'll say it again. It's www.nationalsave.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Pinterest, and probably one more social. I can't keep up with all my social media, but I'm on all of those too. And so right, look there and look, if there's a chapter you're aware of near you in your community, certainly reach out to them. And almost every chapter is one of the biggest things they love to do is to go talk about SAVE and help get new chapters started.
Yep. Listen, you're doing really, really important work, and it's incredibly honorable. But I want our viewers to understand that you guys are not some sort of like heroes that are so different than anyone else. You're normal people that took a stand, which is what all of us need to do. And so you were just kind of pioneers and you know, kind of ahead of the curve. But this is all of our problems. This is all of our fight. So I really, really want to thank you. This is important work, and you all are awesome. My hat's off to you, and keep up the good work. And we're going to support you in any way we can. Let's take care of this. You know, let's make this something that just goes away and is healed by us all paying attention to it. So I really, really want to thank you, and keep up the good work. And again, we'll post all the URLs and all the links and stuff for our viewers to find it. But go get it. Go get it. Let's fix this. So thank you very much.
So obviously this is really important stuff. If you are involved in any of these three places in bullying, you need to pay attention to this. If you're a bully, hey, let's deal with why you are this way. Stop it. Stop it. Don't transfer pain to other people. It's uncool, and we're going to find ways to help you emote and be a better person and not necessarily draw this into the community and basically stain forward this darkness that's been carried through. We're going to help you heal. If you are a victim, you have the websites, you know where to find the help. Enough is enough. Let's get out ahead of this. You are not going to be alone. You are not alone, and the world stands with you. And if you're a witness, step out in front of it. This is an injustice. We are here to heal this. We are all here to help each other grow and prosper, and there's no room for bullying. Let's go get this, okay? Spread this message. This is an important piece, and I am very, very charged about this, as should you be, okay? So spread this, share this. I want to hear what you think. Let's stop bullying right now.